Hola, hola, buenas tardes, bienvenidos a todos a este episodio, el episodio número 37 de Life in Music. Y bueno, tenemos a un invitado increíble. Buenas tardes, bienvenidos a todos no puedo creer el hecho de estar platicando con semejante artista, una persona a la que admiramos muchísimo. Y bueno, vamos directo con él. Vamos al video biografía que les tenemos preparados. Y bueno, antes de ir allá, como siempre en estas entrevistas en inglés, está Julian Smith apoyándome para traducir algunas cuestiones cuando mi inglés ya no da para más. Gracias, Julian.
No, tu inglés es perfecto.
Que estás aquí siempre apoyándonos. Y bueno, vamos al video biografía de nuestro gran artista invitado de hoy.
Mike Ciro, reconocido guitarrista, compositor y productor. Además, ha trabajado con los nombres más importantes de la industria de la música. Ciro es actualmente el director musical del artista ganador del premio Grammy, Alejandro Sanz, así como miembro de la banda Vice. Michael ha estado en la industria musical durante más de 30 años. Como productor y compositor, ha trabajado con los mejores artistas y músicos del medio artístico, como Sting, David Bowie, Shakira, Janet Jackson, Ricky Martin, Mariah Carey, Alicia Keys, las Spice Girls y muchas más. No limitado al estudio de grabación, también ha actuado con muchos artistas, incluidos Toni Braxton, Stevie Wonder, Michael McDonald, Little Richard, George Duke, Chaka Khan, John Legend, Destiny Child y más. También como compositor y productor, Michael ha trabajado para algunas bandas sonoras de películas de gran importancia e independientes. Démosle la bienvenida a un músico versátil, que ya es un referente en la industria musical actualmente. Con ustedes, Mike Ciro, aquí en Life in Music.
Hi, Master. How are you?
How are you? Hola.
Hola, buenas
Hola,
tardes.
México, el mundo.
First of all, thank you for being here. Thank you for the opportunity to learn more about you and your career. We are so excited. I really just can't believe I'm talking with you. So thank you very much.
No, thank you for having me. It's a pleasure to be here. It's my honor.
Thank you very much. So you are ready to start?
I'm ready.
Great. So I want to know, how did you start working with Alejandro Sanz? Was there like an audition?
No, it was a friend of mine, Albert Menendez, was the musical director at the time. Albert Menendez plays toca teclados para Shakira for, I don't know, maybe 20 years, 22 years. But at this moment, he had got the job to direct for Alejandro and asked me if I wanted to be the third guitar player. They wanted an American guy to come and play, acoustic and electric. And I joined and I went on an audition. Really was 1 month audition. I rehearsed with them and met Alejandro and was like, let's see what happens. Like if Alejandro likes you, then you have a job. If he doesn't like you, then you go home. So I played for 1 month in rehearsal, and I finally met Alejandro. Came to the studio, and the first day I played with him, and he said he liked me, and I did the first tour, not as the director, as a third guitar player, and then the next tour I did was what was it? La música no se toca, no. El tren de los momentos. I became the director in 2007.
So, how do you
And
feel through that month of rehearsals? Do you have do you feel nervous, excited, both, scared?
I mean, I was nervous because I I had worked all my life with American artists, you know, and this is my first international artist, and at this moment, I was the only guy from here in the band, so I was a little nervous about what to think, and I didn't know Alejandro, so a little bit, but you know, I was comfortable with the musicians. We were having fun. And I remember being nervous when I met him, though. When I finally met him, he was really intimidating, you know. And it's not easy to intimidate me, but but I was like, wow, this guy's so, you know. What's funny is I met him before, many years ago, but it was in Viña del Mar, and I was playing with Emmanuel. You know Emmanuel?
Yeah, of course.
Emmanuel. I was playing guitar for Emmanuel. And
Oh,
Alejandro's first time in Viña del Mar was there on the show with us. And I heard his show and I said, nice set, hello. And he was very shy at this moment. It was the beginning of his career, 1991, long time ago. 30 años.
uh, how many times did you play with Emmanuel?
I did one tour with him.
Okay,
Yeah. I
I
did one tour with him and we didn't, tell me?
no,
Say
tell
again?
me.
No, I did one tour with him and, you know, I went straight from there to David Sanborn. So I did one tour with him, and then I started working with Omar Hakim and those guys in David Sanborn. So I left, and I didn't see Emmanuel until I think 2 years ago. He came to sing with us with Alejandro.
Oh, great.
So it
Uh,
was nice to see him and say hello. And
on La Gira, I guess,
I
or
think I can't remember. I think it was Laira. I think it was the beginning. I think it was one of the shows we did in Spain. The big shows we did in Spain. I think I can't remember, but it was not too long ago. It was between, I think it was between 18, it was 2019 for sure. Yeah. So it was nice to see him say hello, hang out for a little bit.
yeah, yeah,
After, you know, mucho años.
yes. So, as a guitarist, how is how was it for you the process of approaching musical styles so different from those of America? And how is that process as a musical director?
Say again, I'm sorry. I was distracted by something here, I
Yeah,
think, but
don't
okay,
worry.
repeat the question.
As a guitarist, how was it for you the process of approaching musical styles so different from those of America? And how is that process of sorry, how is that process as a musical director?
Um, well, you know, it's not that much different than American music because, you know, Alejandro's like pop and he has a lot of American influences like jazz and funk, and he loves all kinds of music. I mean, the main dominant thing I had to learn was flamenco. So because the overtones were always in every song, even a pop song. There's something because he loves it so much. You know, that's what he really is. And we spent many hours together. Him showing me flamenco stuff and me sharing some old blues with him. Like we spent many hours together just playing music for each other. And I learned a lot about that. So approaching that style was like that was unique for me. Um, as a director, you know, I appreciate. I'm coming from New York, so I'm lucky to have always had many musical influences. I didn't get closed into one thing. So and I played on many different styles of records, and but flamenco was new to me. But this is something, you know, Alejandro will tell you, and any flamenco guitarist will tell you, This is not something you just start to play. And this is not something you just learn to play for the tour. This is a life. I mean, these guys practice for 9, 12 hours a day, all the time, because to keep this dexterity with the fingers, you have to be playing all the time. Otherwise, it goes away. And if it goes away a little bit, you're finished. So, as like, and I talked to, I got to meet Paco de Lucia, and I talked to Vicente. I talked to the big guys about this, and so I know the story, man. And Alejandro was like, I mean, I fell in love with it, and to approach it as a director, I just had to learn from the real guys. Like Alejandro would give me an idea, and then we work on it together, and we come up with the end product. So just listening to who knows the genre better than you is important as a director. I mean, you can't know everything, and you always learn, and you can make it better. So that's how I approach it. But listening and talking to the people who could teach me something about that, and then I had something to bring on the American side, so we put it together.
Yeah,
In fact, this last tour, this last tour I did the idea for the intro with Alejandro way before the tour started, because I had an idea of this record as being more flamenco than many of his other records, and like a whole flashback to the old style. So I wanted to do an intro in 6 so bad, and we got to do it this year. So, and I'm proud of that.
Le podrías decir que siempre hay un reto para él como guitarrista en las giras.
There's always a challenge for you as a guitarist in tours.
What was the challenge? What's the challenge for me as a guitarist in that?
No. You have always a challenge playing flamenco.
Oh yeah, no. Every night when we have most of the time on the tour, we would bring someone like Jose Antonio Rodriguez, or Vicente would come to play with us, or a lot of people would come, and I can't remember his first name. I think Jose Luis Gomez, a friend of Alejandro's, played with us for a while. Forgive me his name, but he's a great player, and people will come and do it. But there's times when I had to do it, So I would take my solo con un pua, with the ideas and the flavor, and I would look at him every night. And some nights he'd be like, on stage we do this, like in Corazon Partido. I take the solo and go, he'd laugh. And then once in a while he'd say, like, it's flamenco. So I would struggle with this, but I would look forward to it, because I would look forward to his approval, because he knows, And it wasn't as important.
Yeah.
It wasn't as important as it was in Mexico. Like, we would do Mexico, I would play Argentina, and in Spain we'd say, okay, if we can get somebody, because Spain is,
Yes.
You got to be careful. They throw a rock at me,
Corazón Partido solo, it's very hard.
Yeah, it's really difficult. And I copied it for a little while, and I realized I'm copying it, but it's not from my soul, So I played my own thing there when I did it. And now, we have Pau Figueres, and he's a beast, and he plays it, the way it's supposed to be played, and as the flamenco stuff. And he's a great all-around guitar player too, his second guitar for me. And but Vicente would come and play, and Vicente did the solo, on Des. So he would tell me in the beginning of the show, he said, but I don't remember, I'm not going to play the solo from the record. I said, no, why? He wouldn't even play the solo from the record, but he's number one in Spain now, so he can play what he wants. But this solo was like difficult to remember even for him, and he did it, But he would play it perfectly. By the time the showtime would come, he would play it perfectly. But it would make him nervous too, because it became a thing, Like, it became like this huge thing. So, yeah.
Great. So, after working for a few years as a guitarist, you became a musical director. How was that change for you?
Uh, the first the first job I had as director was in 1986, 1986. And the first show I did was in Paris, in Parc de la Soul, opening up for Madonna, and 140,000 people at the show.
A
Yeah.
small gig.
Say again?
And a small gig.
Yeah, smoking.
Yeah.
I was terrified. You know, 140,000 people is like maybe still to this day the most I play for. In this show. But that was the first time, and to make it, I was always directing and arranging. Even whatever band I was in since I was a kid. So I always wanted to do that. I look forward to this more than playing guitar. I mean, I love to play and everything. Still, I always play, but to arrange and direct the band is like to see it come from when we sit down on the first day and just have the music in front of us, and then to the show when it becomes a show. It's a great feeling. It feels like something special. So, oh, you're frozen. We lose each other.
I'm here.
There we are.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
With, ¿Le podrías preguntar con qué artistas has sido director musical?
He asks, which artist have you been a musical director?
You have to repeat because you were frozen. I didn't hear the question.
Oh, all right.
I didn't see you.
Which?
Now I have you.
Okay, good. With what other artists have you been musical director?
I started with a group called Force MD. It was like a hip hop R&B group in the '80s, and I did Stephanie Mills and many other R&B artists over the years. And my band that I had signed to Epic and Alejandro, and some things for Alicia Keys, and certain events for Alicia Keys, and things like that.
Okay, and what were the biggest challenges for you as a musical director at the start and now?
Well, I mean, it's like all about you have to come up with the arrangements and ideas that the artist is gonna. It depends on the artist. Alejandro is very involved with me. We have conversations, and then he asks me for some ideas. So I think the hardest thing is to come up with some stuff to be impressive to him, and at the same time, the scary thing is you have to have respect for the original composition. So if you want to rearrange something and you have all these ideas, so I hear this going here and this that, and reharmonizing this and reharmonizing that, and changing the groove or whatever, you have to be careful because there's 10,000, 20,000, 40,000 fans there that night, and they want to hear the song like it was on the record. They don't care that you've been playing it for all these years, and maybe you want to change it up a little bit. They don't want to change nada. No cambio, nada. Depends. So you have to be careful with your license. You have a license to change some things, but you have to be very respectful of the composition. So that's the toughest thing because you want to change some things. You have some great ideas. Ooh, did I do too much? You know, I think the first time I worked with Alejandro was he asked me when I first became director. He asked me to do an arrangement of Corazon Partido, and I had that trained band was like a bunch of beasts. Everybody was more talented than the next person, and we did an arrangement, and I thought it was incredible. And we played it, and they played it perfectly. And Alejandro told me, "Where's the song? The song is gone. So I learned a lot from him as a director. To do something, but not too much. Make it move. Maybe it's just to make the song move a different way, not necessarily change the song. So that's a big and difficult thing to accomplish.
Le podría decir que él, de hecho, tiene un trabajo muy duro porque además de los arreglos, tiene que lidiar con muchos otros aspectos.
He says that you have a really hard job because besides arranging
De los arreglos musicales, tiene que lidiar con otras cosas.
by organizing the arrangements, you have to deal with other stuff, you know?
Oh yeah, I mean to deal with the band on stage and personalities, and makes it's difficult. During the show, not many people know, but I wear a wireless mic. A lot of people think I had an accident. It looks like a scar, but it's only so it's a wireless mic, and I only have this to talk to the band. So I direct the band through the whole show without screaming, waving my hands, and all that. I can talk to each individual, and I have to manage that because there's a lot that goes on in a tour that lasts for a year and a half, and every night has to be, you know, you can't be tired, that's what we're there for, So I have to give people inspiration sometimes. Sometimes I have to tell people to calm down. So it's a lot of stuff. Yes, aside from the arrangements, it's very different. Yeah.
And what are the three main characteristics that you looks for in a musician?
Um, first, first thing I look for is the kind of person they are. You know, I know that we have to have egos. To be on stage, you have to have an ego. You can't not have an ego. But the person has to be in control of this ego because at the end of the day, we work for the guy in the front, and that's it. And you're gonna win if he wins. So my idea is to keep. I think I've done 600 shows with Alejandro in these years, and I don't remember. I don't know. I don't let a bad show happen. We don't do bad shows. I don't. I don't rehearse for 10 weeks, 10 hours a day, every day of the week to do a bad show. It's supposed to be like blood, and that's one thing is ego. I make sure it's in check. Number two, of course, you have to have talent, and there's two ways to do it. Like there's a lot of musical directors that make themselves the most talented musician in the band. I don't believe this at all. I believe everyone in the band has to be at least me or above. I don't put people because I look like the best person in the band. I want to be like almost opaque, almost non-existent as a musician. I want the band to sound like one person. So you can't have that if you put yourself on top and then everybody's below you. Come on, you have to put yourself
That's very
there.
humble. That's very humble.
No, you have to do it. That I mean, you don't have to. Look, there's plenty of musical directors in the world that are shaking their head, going, "No, I have to be the king." That's their business. But to me, for the artist, what to do for the artist, the best possible thing for the artist is to call the guys that are at least you and above, and can be really above. You have to be a director to be able to keep them, in the place they're supposed to be. We can't have a bunch of rock stars on stage. There's only one, and he's singing, and this is legitimate. It's not, and there's a lot of people, they get on stage, and, some guys over the years, they get a fan club because they're playing with Alejandro, and they don't stay. They don't stay with me, because of this. And it goes, it's not only because of that, but it's like people's heads get out of hand. So the ego, the next thing is you have to have a lot of talent, like, I mean, at least to do the job. The third thing, maybe the most important one, the third thing I'm going to tell you is I don't have anybody in the band that doesn't respect or actually love the artist or the music that we're working with. Like, you have to be, if not a fan of Alejandro Sanz, you have to understand what a great talent he is, and you have to respect what great music we're getting to play. I don't want anybody there just for the money at all. Can't do it. If you do that, it's going to show in the performance. So that's the three things. And the third one, I think, is the most important. And I think I'm here for all these years because Alejandro knows that I have to have people in there that respect him and love his music. So
That's a big lesson. We have here Glenda De Lee a few months ago, and she have all these characteristics that you tell us. She's an amazing woman, a humble person, and a badass player.
badass and a smile on her face. She'll kill you. She'll kill you with a smile. No, she's a beast. She's a beast. I mean, and what a good person. And she's a soldier. She's a soldier for me. You know, like, you tell her what to do. It's never like, nah, I don't know if I want to do that. Never once. I've had people say that to me. Nah, I don't really want to do it that way. Okay, that's fine. But the way I direct is, if I tell you an arrangement that I would like to try, and you say you don't want to do it, I think you can't do it. So
Because as a musician, we have to be like a soldiers with our musical director.
yeah, you have to be, because my thing is, like, I don't direct like I come in with all the arrangements done. They're written. You have to play them this way. That's what I decided. That's not what I do. I want the best ideas, and a lot of times it comes from one idea comes from Glenda, or one idea comes from the drums, or some comes from the bass. Everybody can put in water. A lot of times my ideas are the best, only because I'm connected to Alejandro and what Alejandro's trying to do. You know, sometimes I'll put together something, and someone will come up with a bridge between a part I have to make it work perfectly. I don't want it to be my idea. I want it to be the best idea. And as a director, you should not feel intimidated by when people come up with ideas, because at the end of the day, if you're the one that says that idea is the best idea, you're still the director. You chose the idea, and you did the best, thing for the artist you're working for. Entiende? You tell him you're going to do the best for him, not because it's yours, because you decided what was the best for him, and it worked out. And it could be from somebody else, could be from a bum or somebody in the street that tells you something, and you say, this is great. But you have to have the idea to say, this is the best. You're right. And that's how I direct. So it's really delegation. It's really delegation to have a bunch of really talented people in the room. I tell Alejandro all the time when we start a tour, it's like, what are you going to do now? Like, after all these years, like, he tells me, like, what are you going to come up with now? Like, how could you even still be here? And I said, man, with all these people in the room with me, it's easy for me to hear things. So we'll be playing something, and I'll hear some idea Alfonso plays, or something like that, and I'll say, that's the intro. That's the intro for the show. What you playing? What I just played? It's just fooling around. Yeah, that's it. That's the intro for this song. We're going to start it like that. I mean, that's direction. Not, I'm going to sit at home and all my ideas are going to be on paper and I come to some. Now, some people do that. I'm not going to say their names, but some people do that. And it's not fun. It's not fun. So You want
because
everybody in the band to feel like they have something in it. So
you have to trust on all these musicians because Alejandro and you hired them. It's because they are great artists.
right. So and and if they contribute something, they feel more, attached to the show. So I'm always open for this, and I always listen to everybody around me. It's very important to listen. And Alejandro is the same. Alejandro comes up, and it's amazing how many things we think of at the same time. And we look at each other. That's like we're in the same. A lot of It's very difficult to imagine a guy from Madrid and a guy from the Bronx, but we in the show we're thinking in the same place a lot of times. So a lot of people thinking, a lot of musicians are thinking, what's more impressive, musically, sonically, harmonically, but you have to think of, we're going to be on stage in front of 40,000 people, 40,000 personas, you know, K Diaz, is the best for all for the show.
I think that you want to play. I'm going to say it in Spanish, caliente.
Sí,
I'm right.
sí. No, we want it to be hot. Yeah, the show has to be fire all the time, not from one moment. I mean, when I do the set list, I always clear with Alejandro. When I put the set together, we come up with 30 songs and then we come down to about 19, 20. But when I do the first draft of the set, he'll move a song here and there. We try everything out, and the show, the way I vision it, the way Alejandro visions it is really one piece of music with a bunch of movements. It's not 19 songs. It's like one piece of music that has different moods. You have to design the show like this. You can't just play songs. A lot of artists, they just put the set list right before the show. They put the set list together. I don't understand this. This is a science. It's not just a joke. So
You
anyway,
you you want to go slower and after. eh, I'm going to say it in Spanish. Quiere decir de menos a más,
From less to more,
y de repente tener el clímax de la canción.
and eventually have the climax of the song.
exactly. You have to go. You have to go and. I mean, you can have you never really want to go like this because to come out takes too much. You want to go. You want to go like this and and come up a little bit and then glide and then come up a little bit then glide and then come up a little bit and glide and then go to the top. You never want to go whoop do 5 ballads and then come out. You can't come out of this. You cannot come out of this. So
You cannot.
like once you lose them, you lose them. And we have to, usually by the time we're ready, the set list is solid because I don't we never we haven't changed this list in this tour. We never changed this list. So very, very rare. Towards the end we start to experiment, you know.
Okay. Eh, Quisiera preguntarle cómo trata el aspecto emocional con los músicos que él dirige.
So he was wondering how do you deal with the
Emotional.
the emotional situation with your musicians?
Because you are like a psychologist.
Daddy.
Yeah.
Like a daddy. Like a daddy. It's very difficult. It's a very difficult part of it because you have to be sensitive. At the same time, this is a business, and for Alejandro, it's like a business. So, and you know, with a business, you can love someone and love their family, but if they're going to bring your business into the toilet, you know, you have to change this. You know, and the difficult part is to know when the situation is able to be repaired or when the situation needs to be cut out. You know, and this is something. It's the hardest part of the job. You know, to find people and keep them for many years, and then lose them for whatever reason. You know, and you have to hear problems because you know the road is tough. I mean, you go away from. Not everybody's ready. We go away for 3 months at a time from home, and it's not easy. It's not easy to have to be away from your family. Everybody thinks it's yeah, well party party party. Nah, nah. I'm from a different. We work 3 times a week, 2 times a week sometimes. Dos conciertos por semana y tres. Very rarely we do cuatro. But I prefer to play every night. When I go on the road, I want to work every day. But it's not possible with this kind of show. Without Alejandro putting 2.5 hours in like that with the voice, it's and the emotions that he gets it's difficult to do it. It's not just a concert in a bar. It's not just a show in a bar. It's like a lot of energy. So I have to take care of these musicians that way, and I get a lot of phone calls in the 2 a.m. You know, or we have a lot of conversations. But I have to monitor them and say, we can fix this, or sometimes I have to go to Alejandro and say, I can't fix this, and we need to make a change. So
A very difficult part.
it's a bad part of the job, but you have to be able to do it because you my legacy is this. Alejandro's legacy is this. Everything we do out on that stage from the moment the show starts to the moment the show ends, now with YouTube, with social media, this is forever and ever. Amen. Like you're never gonna change this. So you have to put your best every night. So the world is watching you all the time. So it's a lot of pressure, but I'm built for this.
Yeah. So
That's what I love this. You know, I say it on the work. I love this shit.
you can say it.
Sorry,
Don't worry.
sorry. I love it. I don't like it. I love the pressure. I love the fact, going out there and and winning them. Winning the people. Like when we see sometimes you could see sometimes it's like a row, maybe, you know, seis novios of the girls next to them, and the novios are like just looking at Alejandro like, because the girls are, losing their mind
Yeah.
over this guy, right? And they're looking at him like, wow, what's so special? But I see as the show goes on, Alejandro is a genius at this. And by the end of the show, they're smiling. Like, you can't deny it. If it's a good show, you cannot deny it. One time I had a friend of mine from New York and his wife, and they flew to, they saw me working for Alejandro for many years, but they're not, they're gringos, and they didn't know anything about Alejandro. But I took them to the show in Sevilla, the taping of the DVD for, I guess it was, La Música No Se Toca, I guess. But anyway, after the show, they came backstage and they wanted to, I asked them, you want to meet him? You came all this way to Spain just to see the show. So you have to. So we went, and my neighbor doesn't speak not a word of Spanish, doesn't understand nothing, told him, I don't understand a word that you said, but I was crying in the songs from the emotion and the intent. And Alejandro says that's what it's all about. So, but not every Spanish artist can do this to to someone who doesn't understand. This guy's super talented like that. And Alejandro, if you're watching this,
I hope he's
I hope he's
watching
watching
this.
it. But he's he's saying to me for 17 years, mira, cabrón, toca conmigo para 17 años, no habla nada. But I speak enough, but I can't speak fast enough to have an interview. So,
Don't worry.
anyway,
Uh, in all these years as a musical director, what is personally the most challenging and hard thing that you have had to live?
the most challenging thing that has happened to me, you mean?
Yeah, personally. With
Oh, personally,
yeah,
like in my life, you mean?
yeah, because you say it, the tours are very tough. It's difficult.
I mean, there was many, but in the in the in the rehearsals for this tour, I lost my father, and my father passed away, and I was in rehearsal in Spain, and he got sick, and my sister was calling me and told me, he's in the hospital. They're gonna do tests. So I thought I had time, and then in 3 days he was gone. And I had to go to Alejandro and tell him I gotta go home for a moment, and I only went for 2 days because you know it's my dad, but Alejandro depends on me, and what can you do after a person is gone? You can be sad for a while, but the big thing was in that moment I was directing the biggest tour in Spain, so I was gonna and the Spanish in the Latin world. So I was getting ready to do this. So I got back to work, and for me it was good, to go back to work. So that was a difficult moment though to have this happen because in the back of my head I've been on the road for para 30 años, and I always think, yeah, before Alejandro, and I think someday something like this is going to happen to me for sure. And what am I going to do? So this was difficult, but Alejandro was the best. He said, come back, but take the time you need, and we'll do something else while you're gone. And that's what we did. He said, you need more time. I said, I'm done. I want to go back to work. So I did 2 days, and got everything prepared. My sister helped me, and so that was one of the most difficult things that happened to me. In all my career. Um, the other one was the birth of my second child.
Okay.
I was in Mexico in Puebla. I watched I was in Puebla when my second child was born. Uh, my ex-wife at this time was pregnant, and she was ready to deliver, and we were starting the tour. So I asked, can I stay back one day? They said, no, Mike, we have to do sound check, whatever. So I went, and we had the day off. Something happened to the equipment. We didn't have to play that day, and she had the baby that day. I was so upset because I could have stayed. But it was nobody's fault. So I watched the birth Skype for 14 hours from my hotel room in Puebla. The doctor let me Skype the whole thing. So that was great. But that was great and difficult at the same time. And then I was here. I was in Mexico when Sandy, the big hurricane, came to New York, and the baby was home. So I was stuck in Mexico. Yeah, it was. So stuff like that happens, and what can you do? You know, the best.
Yes, sorry to hear from your dad,
No, thank you.
and that's why that's hard because you have one of the most challenging jobs on music industry with Alejandro. I believe that Luis Miguel and Alejandro Sanz are in the same level to the top of uh, Spanish music, and that's
Yeah,
a very difficult job.
it's not easy. It's not easy, but at the end of the day, when you sit back and people come back and tell you, you know, what a great show, and you can tell they're sincere, then that makes the difference. You know, when I walk into the dressing room, because I'm always the first one in to the dressing room with Alejandro. You know, sometimes he kick me out, but most of the time I go in and I say, and he goes, you know, always, you know, great show. We had a good time. You know, so I work really hard in my career to achieve this. And sometimes the way I do it, some people, you know, they don't like it. It's a little abrasive, but you know, I always tell musicians, if you listen to me, you're gonna have a job. You know,
Yeah,
so that's important. But
and
I go a little crazy sometimes.
and you
Whoever's watching, I know you're watching. No.
we want to have here Alejandro Sanz, so
Will be great.
we
Will
are
be
praying
great.
for that.
This guy's got so many stories and such an incredible career to talk about. I mean,
As you as you
ah,
you play with Alicia Keys, Stevie Wonder, Mariah Carey, um, Chaka Khan. How how is that for you?
I mean, you know, I mean, they're all regular people. At the end of the day, it depends on. It depends. You know, it's like it depends on how you treat them. You know, like if you come in a work situation, para trabajar. If you go in there and you come in and you treat them like a superstar, they're gonna treat you like they're a superstar, and you're just a fan. So you have to balance it with respect, but you have to come in like, hey, I'm here to play guitar or I play drums, and you don't. Like you want them to ask you, you know, what's what do you feel about the guitar here? Like because you're the guitar player, or what do you feel about the drums? You know. So to do that, you have to come in like maybe keep your, very, you know. I mean, the times I worked with Stevie Wonder was probably, it was very scary because it's Stevie Wonder, and it's very intimidating to be in the situation. But once you play, I mean, the most intimidated I was, other than Alejandro, because I didn't know what to expect with Alejandro, and the music I wasn't sure if I was fitting in, when I first went to play. But I did a soundtrack for a movie called um, what the heck was the name of it?
Look, um,
Yeah, it was about the Soul Men. Name of the movie, I think Soul Men, with Sam Jackson and Bernie Mac. And I did the soundtrack with George Duke, Stanley Clark, and that was pretty much,
two big motherfuckers.
yeah, that was pretty much that was pretty intense. Like my nerves were at the end. And we were in the studio, no bigger than this room. So I was right next to them, like I couldn't hide. I wasn't in the back with some charts, and then there was a string section there, and I'm all the way in the corner. No, it was me, and George was here, and Stanley was looking at me. And these are guys I grew up listening to. And I'm playing, and I'm like saying, man, I know what I'm doing, and nobody was talking to me. Because they didn't have to. It was George Duke and Stanley Clark. And that was pretty much, I was about to have a heart attack. And then I played, and when I played, they, they liked it. So that was like, I said, I didn't care if you fired me after one song. I just wanted to be here for one day. That's all. Thank you.
And
anyway,
you nailed it.
We had fun.
You nailed it.
Yeah.
You always play with the energy to the maximum. How do you stay like that during a tour? It must be very challenging.
I mean, I have this conversation with the band almost not every night, but quite a bit. It's like you have to, we work as musicians, and imagine how few of us get to be in this position at this moment to be on a stage with Alejandro Sanz and the lights go out and 60,000 people are screaming. I mean, there's nothing like this. So this alone tells me to make sure you try. Okay, you can spend a lot of time thinking about the future, worry about the future, think about the past, but it's very difficult to be in this moment. So I tell my musicians all the time, look around, slow down, we're about to go on stage, realize what's actually about to fucking happen now. Like this is what's about to happen. And you're so blessed. Even me and Alejandro will talk the same way to each other before the show. The picture, I don't know if you remember seeing, it's a famous picture on his Instagram with him holding my head like this. He had me in a headlock. So this was right before we did Mas es Mas, the show. And we both had this conversation like, wow, look at this. We're here with all these people, and look what you did. You brought us all together. And he said, look what we did. I said, nah. He's a super humble guy when it comes to this, I mean, he shares his success with everyone around him, if you deserve it. If you don't deserve it, then it's another story.
Yeah.
But that's like anything in life. But yeah, it's just like I tried to tell them this, and then the energy, I don't know. I was born to do this, so I mean, if I get another night, God gives me another night to do it. I'm thankful that God gave me this night to do it. I'm gonna do the best, But I don't want to plan it too much, because then that takes the moment away from it. I know a lot of guys that plan out the solo, what they're gonna do at this moment, where they're gonna stand, how they're gonna look, what the photographer's gonna see. I don't do this because, and a lot of times I fall on my face, like a lot of times it's like, what did I play in the song? But the next time you go out, you might have this moment that you have a moment in your life that you can remember the feeling forever. And this is what you're here for.
I love the solo with you and David Palau in Mi Soledad y Yo. That was
so long ago.
Amazing. You both played like a
He's
beast.
still a good friend of mine. We speak from time to time. I love David. We had a good time on this tour.
That solo from you and many others playing rock in the NAM. You play with the singer from Living Color.
Yeah, Corey Glover.
Yeah, and you always play caliente.
I mean, I come from that. I come from that school. From rock. Every guitar player. I mean, no matter who I talk to, played rhythm or jazz, Everybody wants to put a cable straight into the Marshall and turn the buttons off, and that's it. I mean, we lost the best guy this week. I mean, we lost Eddie this week. You know, and I met him one time, and it's funny where I met him. It was at an award show, and I was playing for all soul and R&B artists, but he happened to be in the audience for the awards, and I met him backstage, and I was standing next to him, and I'm like terrified that whatever, because I played a solo, but it was like kind of a bluesy R&B solo, and I was like terrified to talk to him, so I wasn't going to talk to him, and he came up to me and said, "Hey, great tone." That's all he said, and I was like,
That's enough.
That's enough. That's enough, man." This guy who had the greatest tone, when I was a kid, I was like, "Wow, this guy is he's an alien," and so that was a one time, but it's like you get chances like that in life, man, and you have to, you have to make sure that you seize them. But we all have this rock thing in us, opposed to other things. I don't know, and I went to school for jazz and composition, and I love it, but and Alejandro loves rock, like. We did one rock song that never made the record, that never made the album. Is No Lo Digo Por Nada. We did this record, and the record label said, "Oh, no, 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 please, it's too." The management and the record said, "No, don't put it on the. It can't be on the album. It's not an Alejandro Sanz song." Alejandro put it out for one day. I think he sold like 1 million downloads of this song. I think it was something crazy like that. He said, "Okay, we're gonna put it for one day. That's it on iTunes." It's like the song is a legend, and it was as heavy as we could get. But he loves that stuff too. So we fit together in a certain way.
We are, bueno, lo voy a decir en español. Estamos a punto de.
Okay.
This is one of the main questions in life in music, and is ¿cuál ha sido tu decisión estúpida
Which has been your, let's say, stupid decision?
in music? Y dile por favor que voy a explicar a qué me refiero.
Alright, he's gonna explain to what he is referring to, and then I'll translate later.
Esto surge de una anécdota de John Mayer, que él decide dejar Berkeley para hacer su carrera solista, y su familia, amigos, pensaban que era una decisión estúpida, pero él creía firmemente en hacer su carrera, y bueno, ahora sabemos quién es John Mayer.
So basically, it's about John Mayer living in Berkeley, and so his family said, "Well, I mean, why are you leaving it? If this is a great deal, right?" But at the end of it, it was a good decision because of what he achieved later. So basically, what was your kind of stupid decision like that?
My accountant told me there was this company in 1997 called Amazon, and he wanted me to give him $1,000 put it, and I said no. ¿Entiendes?
Sí.
I didn't put $1,000 in Amazon. We wouldn't be talking today. Well, this is true though. In music, that's a big one when I said this is terrible. In music, I don't know. I try to have no regrets. I try to make a decision. I try to make a decision based on what I need at this moment, what my family needs at that moment. I try not to make decisions based on money, but I have made sometimes maybe not the smartest moves. Um, wow, I never thought of this.
Maybe
So,
he don't get it.
Yeah, well, basically, it's a stupid decision that eventually people thought
Yeah.
wasn't a really good idea, but it was favorable for you. You know, like
Yeah,
oh,
Yeah.
like
okay,
we have here in Mexico, Ivan Barrera, a bass player. He told us that he received a call from Alejandro's office to play bass in the band, and he rejected that offer because he wants to be a producer. And now all the people say to him, that's stupid. You have to go with Alejandro Sanz. And now he have two Grammy nominee.
yeah, Grammy nominees,
Yeah,
nominations.
that kind
so
of
he's happy.
Yeah,
He
yeah,
made the right decision, right?
yeah.
So I think I think it was with Alejandro because and I had done the first tour, like I told you, and then they came back and they called me to be the director. And at that time, I was working with Alicia Keys, and Alicia wanted me to do the whole, she wanted me to be in the band, but not the director, And but I don't know, if I would have become the director or not with her, maybe so, because my personality, I don't know, sometimes it just happens, like with Alejandro. But I think my decision to stay and work with a guy that in America everybody was going, I don't know who's this guy going to disappear, South America, Mexico, and then American musicians were going, but who, Now they don't know who he is because they know I've been working for all these years, you know, and and I've been successful with Alejandro, and now it's a good decision because here we are, and who's had a job as long as me with this. It's I'm blessed because of this. I mean, the
Serve it.
oh, thank you.
That's a very difficult choice. Left Alicia
I say
Keys
goodbye to
band.
everybody. I was doing a TV show. I was doing a lot of things here, but I was tired, and I just seemed like this. I don't know why, but this music, this music is amazing. It's so. I mean, I was intimidated by the music at first. I was like, I don't know if I could do this. But you have to be careful. If you say no, don't have regrets. You have to. It's very important in life. But I think that was it. So
Great answer. So we are going
there you
to finish this with this part that we call choices, and I'm going to give you two choices, and you have to pick one. So you are ready?
go. Ready.
Uh, Strat or Les Paul?
Les Paul.
Great. Marshall or Orange?
Orange.
Great too. Um, musical favorite musical style. If you have to play that musical style for the rest of your life.
I have to say pop because it gets me to play so many different styles. If I have to pick one style, it's rock. But if I have to pick something that I'm going to be most happy, I think pop. Because you get to play everything.
¿Cómo se
That's
dice
right.
sabio?
Wise.
Yeah, you are a wise man. And the last one, rosewood or ebony?
Ebony.
Great choice. So, Master, thank you
Those
very
are great
much.
questions, by the way. Those are great questions, by the way. I love the last questions. That's great.
Okay, thank you
Fabulous.
very much, Master. thank you for your time. Let me introduce you our next artist who is going to participate in Live in Music. Player too, and he's is vende instrumentos.
He sells instruments.
Yeah, and a YouTuber too. He's a very famous a famous guy here because he sells a lot of instruments and he's a humble person and honest, and that's great. And he are going to give us some keys to pick a correct instrument.
Amen.
So, esta entrevista que tendremos con Pepe Rocha es el próximo sábado a las 3 de la tarde, no se lo pierdan. Y bueno, Master, thank you very much for your time. It's okay if we are going to make the private session with the students.
Okay, do I switch over to Google now?
Yeah. So, thank you very much to all the people. Gracias a toda la gente que estuvo aquí y nos vemos la próxima semana. Thank you, Master.
Gracias por el institute, man. Thank you guys so much. I really appreciate it.
Thanks to you. Bye.
Bye.
Bye, ciao.